Hello there folks, Andrew Griffiths here, how you doing? A little while ago, I was thinking about what book will I write next, and the one that popped up into my mind that I think I really wanted to address was about imposter syndrome. Because I've used a line for a long time now, the only people who don't have imposter syndrome are the people who should. And I really do believe this. You know, everyone I encounter has some form of imposter syndrome, except those that often lack substance, are way overconfident. They really are more confident than they deserve to be, and I just kind of find them kind of irritating, to be honest. And in the world of social media, there's so much bluster and BS that they're the people that come across like everything is they've got all the confidence in the world. But it's a really big issue. I see it in business all the time, with authors, with speakers. I've certainly struggled with imposter syndrome all my life, as well. Not so much in the last maybe 10, 15, 20, I guess, but before then, absolutely. I always say the line that for me, I spent the first part of my life being told I have no value and the rest of my life trying to prove differently. And so imposter syndrome becomes quite ingrained in many of us. When it really raised its head for me was when I started to write. And initially it wasn't a problem, right? Because I'm writing, books on marketing and small business. I didn't think anyone was going to read them, so there's nothing to have imposter syndrome about. Even though they were published by a big publishing company, I honestly didn't think anyone would read my first book. I was wrong. A lot of people read it, and then I started to get asked to do big speaking jobs. And I remember the biggest speaking job that I ever had was with Telstra. They wanted me to go around to like 30 cities around Australia over a year and do this really big presentation around marketing. Imposter syndrome hit me big time then. And who the hell was I? I'd written a book on marketing, but I ran a little two-bit marketing company in Cairns. I had no marketing qualifications. I was a street smart marketer, and I felt this incredible pressure that now I'm the marketing guy. I'm the one who has to have all of the answers. And it terrified me. And I realized that I was putting this pressure on myself. I needed to change my internal dialogue. I needed to change that message. And so what I changed it to, what I realized was I would get on stage and say, I don't have all the answers when it comes to marketing, but I've done things, figured out things that have worked really well for me and for my clients, and that's what I want to share with you today because I think that they could work for you. If someone disagrees, I'm not going to argue with someone about marketing ideas. If someone, stands up the back of the room and says, Andrew, you're full of shit, you're an imposter, which I used to always talk about and no one's ever done it, except in jest now because I say it all the time. Because I'm not trying to say I've got all the answers. I'm trying to say this is the stuff I've figured out and it works for me. Maybe it'll work for you. That one shift changed everything for me, changed everything. It took all the pressure off me having to be the guy with all the answers. It took all that pressure off me as the expert, the authority, the only one with any kind of, true kind of, essence of understanding or blah, 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 blah. So changing that was a really powerful thing for me. So I took the sting out of it, and you can do the same thing. Don't be afraid of imposter syndrome. Okay, everyone gets it, except those who should have it. You got to work out how you manage it. That's the real key here. How are you going to manage it? Look at, changing your dialogue. Try and don't feel the weight of the world on you to be the expert. Be the weight of the world in this is what I figured out. It might help you. That changes everything so dramatically. Look at your history. Look at what you've achieved. Do an achievement map. Kind of showcase all of your successes, all of those things that give you the evidence to say that you have worked out stuff that is of value. Have you written a book? Have people said great things? Are you speaking? If you've been in business for a few years, you've probably learned how to survive. I see so many experts out there that are false experts. That again, these are the ones who don't have imposter syndrome and they should. They have audacious claims, 100,000 followers. Most of them are BS followers. They're not real. You go in there and you'll see they've just bought 100,000 followers, which is easy. Any of us could buy 100,000 followers these days. It'd cost you about maybe 1,500, $2,000, maybe a bit more. And they're all fake followers, but they rest on the numbers. you know, $1,000,000 authors. I see these author coaches now making these ridiculous claims. It's all BS. Don't compare yourself with them. You're kind of comparing yourself, going, oh, they've got all the success and all this kind of stuff. Don't believe everything you see online. You know, don't believe all of the social media. I know you know that, but don't get caught up in the battle for comparison. I live my life to the beat of my own drum. I've always been a little bit left of mainstream. I haven't followed the traditional path in what I do. You know, I haven't built an empire. I haven't built a team of hundreds because I don't want that stuff. You know, I like to be my own person. Nothing's stopping you from doing the same. Nothing wrong with building an empire, right? But build a business that suits you. Build a business that works for you. Build the business that you know suits your internal story, whatever it is that you're saying. So own your space, own your knowledge, own your expertise, change that dialogue, be clear about what it is that you bring to the table and what it is that you've worked out. And remember, the only people who don't have imposter syndrome are those that should. The key here is to change your inner dialogue and come up with a better story which sits more comfortably for you and how you manage your imposter syndrome. All right, I hope you found that helpful. It's a big topic. I don't know if I'm going to write that book. There's a lot of people talking about it at the moment. I've moved on to a new topic and a new book that I'm working on at the moment. But this is something that I see hold back so many authors, speakers, business owners, you know, people in so many different ways. So I would love it if you could somehow come to terms with your own imposter syndrome. Because I tell you, I meet people that are got such an incredible case of imposter syndrome, and they are freaking amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing human beings. I can see it in them. I can help them bring that out, but they don't see the same thing that I can see from the outside looking in. All right, anyway, long rant. Imposter syndrome bad, you know, deal with it and come up with your own reframe. All right, folks, Andrew Griffiths, over and out. Bye-bye.